Hey everyone, this is Kevin Shriver from Downtown Pittsburgh Dogs. Hope you all are doing very well. Thanks as always for watching. What to do when you get a new dog in your house is probably one of the most popular questions that comes across my radar. If the dog, I'm going to separate this from a puppy versus if you have an adult dog. And when I say an adult dog and a dog above 8 months, these are generally the same, but basically a dog above 8 months is a little bit different than if you have an infant puppy. Let's start with the adult dog. The basic things, the most important thing that you want to do is you want the dog to be introduced to your house in a good state. S-T-A-T-E, a good state. And what I mean by that is you don't want them to be too wound up, you don't want them to be too energized, you don't want them to have excess energy, because if they do, when they're introduced to something, they will build that and reinforce that energy state with which they're in, and it could mean it's a bad experience, or it could be a difficult experience. So you want to lower their energy state. The best way to do this is to simply exercise the crap out of your dog before you bring it home. Now, you're not going to kill your dog or anything, obviously, but what I want you to do is, for example, say you're picking up a dog from somewhere, you put it in the car, you're about to get home, you've got stuff in the car. If you've got food and stuff, you can bring it in, but immediately, as soon as, before you even let the dog explore the house, you should leash the dog up, and everybody in the household should be ready to walk with the dog for at least 30 minutes, 45 minutes, so that the dog is tired. It can smell the whole neighborhood of where it's going to go, let it relieve itself, totally go into the bathroom completely, because it's very typical for new dogs, especially older dogs. Once they get into a new environment, it's not uncommon for them to pee or poop inside the house, typically because they're nervous. So that exercise burns off a ton of extra energy and also gets them to totally relieve themselves, which is what we want. Then, when the dog's tired, you can bring it in the house. You can still keep it on a leash if you want and kind of lead it around through the house, different rooms, letting them know where their water bowl is going to be, their food bowl is going to be. So you kind of have the place also already set up before you bring the dog home. It's very common, again, if you bring the dog, again, now the dog has a lower energy, you're bringing it into your house and you're going to have it experience the house as a relaxed, calm abode, temple, as opposed to being this crazy party. Oh my gosh, I'm at a new place, I'm going to bounce around, jump on all the couches and everything. You can set the tone and set the trajectory of that relationship with your dog in the home. The other thing that you want to continue to do, again, going along the exercise thing, is go on regular exercise as soon as possible, because typically for the first couple days the dog is very ramped up. So you need to actually increase the amount of exercise that you would normally give to a dog. If you have a dog and you calculate that it's probably a mid-level energy dog, which is kind of a standard, you need to be giving the dog, let's say, an hour and a half of exercise every day. Well, you need to ramp that up to 3 hours a day for the first couple days to burn off that extra energy. Their adrenaline's flowing, they're not going to sleep, blah, 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 all this stuff's going to happen. You need to burn off that energy in the first couple days, because they're not going to eat the first couple days. Again, you want to get in the routine of going to the bathroom in the right spots. A lot of adult bathrooming habit challenges come from people letting their dog's energy build up, and then they let the dog run loose in the house, and the dog gets it, first time it gets a chance to be calm is inside this new house, and they're like, well, it smells kind of fresh, or there may have been a dog here, I'm just going to mark this because this is now my territory. We don't want that to happen, because then we start getting the habits of adult bathrooming habits, bathrooming inside, and that is very frustrating to work on if you haven't set the right trajectory. So make sure the first bathroom and the first potty is outside. Spend as much time as you need to let the dog be calm and relaxed, and go to the bathroom outside. Also, from the beginning, make sure to enforce the boundaries and disciplines that you want to make sure are in place. People make a big mistake of immediately, for example, allowing the dog to counter surf or to jump on couches when they don't want that, or they may be handing the dog food very quickly in the relationship. And what that does is it allows dogs to be like, oh, I get food, people have food, I come up to them, and then they get food because they hand it to me. Refrain from doing that, because what you do in the beginning sets the trajectory for the future. If you are not interested in having a dog that begs or doesn't have any boundaries, and that does have boundaries, you need to enforce them from the beginning. Work on, because what happens is a lot of times dogs are a little bit overwhelmed in the beginning, and they will be a little bit submissive, as I said before. If the dogs have kind of that wired aggressive energy, they'll be very bouncy and going around. If they have kind of that submissive energy, they'll be more quiet in the beginning, and what can happen is that submissive will burn off as they become a little more confident. And so like a week later, you'll start to see the personality come out, and you go, wow, the dog's now aggressive and it's getting their routine down, and I've seen some behaviors that I haven't seen before. Typically people assume that, oh, my dog's really quiet and really passive and it's perfect and it just lays there. Well, what happens is you haven't burnt off that energy, and you've just they've been very submissive, because their initial reaction might be, again, passivity. Their energy is going to build up and build up, and then what happens is a couple of days later they go, wow, this dog's now starting to get some personality. It may be good. You may say, oh, I like that the dog's perking up, or you might go, oh my gosh, I didn't see this when I picked it up from wherever. And that becomes the challenging part, where people wake up and they go, wow, I can see where this dog's energy comes from, or why people had challenges with this dog. Those are some quick tips. Those are the most important tips. Exercise and boundaries as soon as possible, and extra exercise with your dog in the first 10 days. That'll burn off a ton of energy, always giving them something to do. That's the easiest thing to do. And then once the dog gets settled in the routine, feeding and everything, then you can start working on some additional training options. Always keep it very simple with the dog. As I said before, you're going to work on one thing at a time, but stick with energy and boundaries in that order. Extra exercise, and then those boundaries are going to keep your dog and set the dog on the right track for you and your family and for your household. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. As always, thank you for watching. This is Kevin Shriver from Downtown Pittsburgh Dogs. Have a great rest of the day.